everyone. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We are going to be doing a review based on the Dice Tower cruise.
Well, we're going to tell you about our week-long adventures down there.
Yeah, and then we're going to kind of highlight whether it was worth the money.
So hello there. This is our first day heading to the airport for our 5th anniversary trip, Dice Tower Cruise. Here's Miranda. Hey. And me. And it's about way too early in the morning. And we're getting ready to go to the airport and go through all the fun of going through check-in and getting our body scanned and all of that. Looking forward to this trip, sort of. I'm not a big flyer, so we'll see how this goes. I hate flying, but
I like it. I think it's fun.
Well, I'm glad you enjoy it. Hopefully we'll see you in Florida, and we can talk again. We're actually going to have a layover in Washington, D.C., so we may talk there too, but I don't know. And we'll give you updates on how the cruise is, what we thought of not just the cruise, but also the Dice Tower portion as well. So lots of excitement to come. See how it goes. My first cruise. Miranda's not first cruise. Our first Dice Tower cruise, though. So, looking forward to it, and we'll talk later.
So, first thing, the cruise was a 7-day, 6-night cruise going to Cozumel, Mexico, Roatan, Honduras, and Costa Maya, Mexico, and then back up to Fort Lauderdale. So in 2 of those days were strictly sea, so it was the perfect amount, talking about gaming opportunity. So starting there, getting on the boat.
Well, getting on the plane was the first thing. So,
well, for you.
So we left here on the 13th. Was it the 13th? 13th. We left here.
It was Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And we flew down to Fort Lauderdale via Washington, D.C.
Yay, we made it. We're not on the plane anymore. We're at the hotel.
And no mask. Oh, my gosh.
Oh,
that
yes.
was too long.
Too long. And we had a nice little excursion sitting at the Louisville airport in the line for 2 hours waiting to check our bags in while everybody got called in front of us because they were so far behind on all of the flights that we got pushed back in line, and we barely made our flight as a result. So glad we were able to get on the plane. Glad we were able to transfer, because the next flight we didn't have much time because we had to shuttle from one side of DC airport onto a train to another terminal and get on that plane. And we tried to get breakfast. Do not get the egg cheese bagel at, I don't know, what was the name of the little shop there? I don't know. In the C terminal. Horrible. One bite, threw it away. It was awful. But I didn't have time to eat anyway.
Seasoning. They didn't believe in salt.
Because I had to go get on the flight as soon as we got the sandwich. So we never got a chance to eat it anyway. But yeah, it was flavorless. It was awful. So yeah, Miranda actually ate hers. She was so hungry. But now we are going to find food because I am starving, she's starving, and I'm afraid I might get eaten if we don't go get food soon. So, let me show you the view. We got a nice view of Fort Lauderdale, I'm assuming, or Miami, I'm not sure which. And then we got a bunch of whatever these are. I think they might be missile silos. Not sure, but could be. So, no beach, can't see it from our hotel, but we can see things. That's the boatyard. I think that's where we're getting ready to go eat, because I heard it's good from somebody.
2 people.
Well, they said they had it. They didn't say it was good. The first one said they highly recommend it. The second one just said that was
good,
there.
But the other one was better.
Yeah. So, and then there's a water taxi, that's going to take us to the beach this afternoon or this evening, and Miranda's super excited about that one. So, we will talk later, but this has already been an interesting trip. Hopefully it gets fun now soon. It's just fun to be away for a bit.
No, but Randy's not a big, huge flyer, and I told him we're flying because I ain't driving. And so I made him suffer through it. Looking back now and his anxiety levels, we probably should have drove. So But anyway, so we ended up stopping in DC, and then we went back to Fort Lauderdale. Uber to the hotel. We did not stay at the hotel that the Dice Tower kind of
that's
associated with.
Roadway Inn. They stay there every year.
It honestly didn't look.
It was not looking like a good hotel, and it was oversold. Apparently, they had to put some people across the street.
Yes. So we didn't end up booking there because I looked at it and said, "Randy, we're booking somewhere." Again, I'm spoiled. So we
got a few disappointments for the trip right away from the Dice Tower side, which was we found out we couldn't film on the boat, which we had no idea. So
and I guess some of the feedback is that we had to get pre-approval, which was kind of a bummer. But not on the top of that there was insurance requirements, but we had those insurance requirements. We didn't even get the opportunity to be able to go into any of that. Because it was basically shut down.
We were hoping to shoot some game reviews while we were on the boat, which we got a balcony room with an ocean view, partly because of that.
That was his reasoning, not mine. But
we ended up not being able to shoot any video. But we got lots of pictures, and as we're talking, we'll be showing them on the screen.
Yeah.
So that was one disappointment. The second one is the Roadway party. They had a pre-party. But if we didn't stay at the Roadway, we had to get tickets to go to the party. I don't know if you had to pay for those tickets, but we didn't have the tickets, so we didn't go to the party. But we were fine with that because we had other things we wanted to do anyway.
Yes. So Fort Lauderdale was actually a lot of fun. We found, dude, ask your hotel people what to do because they were excellent help to us multiple times. So shout out to the residents in Fort Lauderdale. They gave us Renaissance. They gave us some great tips on things to do and really enjoyed our time in Fort Lauderdale because of them. Wish we had done a little more planning for our time, especially on the back end. So don't be afraid to schedule stuff, I guess, before and after your cruise if you've got time. Because you don't get a lot of opportunities to travel and you should take advantage of it.
Yeah, we had a nice walking distance, several restaurants, one of which was sold out almost constantly. We barely got it,
but that's because we went at the early morning, 11 o'clock. We were like, we're coming in, right?
But we did find this Massachusetts style fishery.
Okay, it was a New England fishery, and they had the best clam chowder I have ever had. Here's the logo. So it was fantastic. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, go by and check them out, especially if you like seafood, specifically clam chowder and the soups. I'll be honest, going down to Florida, I was thinking I'm not going to eat soup, but there were two different places I ended up eating soup at and did not regret it at all. So there was that. And then, so we ended up getting to the cruise ship, Ubering it.
We spent a lot of time Ubering.
We did spend a lot of time Ubering, and Randy was very fickle about he was like, let's just get a taxi. I'm like, no, Uber's way cheaper. Why would you do that? And you would have to hunt a taxi down. Why? So Randy had to learn about the Uber app, so that was interesting. And then, so we ended up getting on the cruise ship. Now, this was more of Royal Caribbean's fault, is we bought the key passes, which allow you early boarding. But there was no information about the early boarding procedure before we got there. So we ended up just showing up early, and they let us through because we had the passes.
I had watched a video on YouTube about just trying to familiarize myself with some of the stuff on the cruises, and they just happened to be talking about whether the key pass was worth it or the key was worth it. And their conclusion was it wasn't. I personally thought it was worth it for first-time traveler on a cruise, especially on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I think it was totally worth it because, it turns out that you are supposed to be there at a specific time between 10 and 11 to get on, but you actually looked like we could have even gotten on earlier if we wanted. But the odd thing was our thing said we were supposed to be there between 1 and 2, but then we were supposed to have our safety check on board the ship by 11:30. And it was like, there's no way we could do that.
Yeah, I don't think it was clearly communicated what the expectations were around key membership. And I felt really disappointed in Royal Caribbean for doing that because I didn't think we got as much value as we could have had we understood a little bit. Now, with the key, there was free, you're paying for it. It's internet for one device per person that you're paying for it. So that was nice to have that included. Also, there's some couple surprises they left in our suite and some other stuff. So whether did we discuss whether that was worth it or not, I can't. I personally like it because doing the early checkout or doing early check-in, I liked doing that. I didn't like having to stand in queues and things like that.
Yeah, and we had a special dinner the first day. Wasn't very good, but we had a special dinner the first day. We'll get to the food here.
Special lunch.
Yeah, a lunch, and we had a special breakfast we could have done on the last day, which we chose not to.
Yeah, because we wanted to hang out with friends more.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was a little, whatever, kind of whatever. So then we couldn't actually go to our room until 2:00. A lot of people didn't get their luggage until way after. Our luggage was in the hallway when we came.
Yeah, it was very odd.
It wasn't like next to our room.
No, it was down the hall, and it was like a big pile of luggage, and it was like, do you just grab which bag you want? There you go.
So Randy ended up grabbing our bags and taking it to her room, but then they put the keys on the door. Like, as a first-time cruise with Royal Caribbean, like I've done Norwegian before, but this is the first time I did Royal Caribbean, and I had no idea the procedure. And everyone's like, oh, you just get it on but these are people that have been on it before. I'm like, so I don't think communication was very well done for the first-time cruiser going in. And I think that's completely Royal Caribbean's fault. This is in no way a show on Dice Tower, but I do think the Royal Caribbean could have done a lot better with that communication at the beginning of the cruise. So they did Dice Tower held 2 events right off. So they did a check-in. And then they ended up giving us free shirts. We got a game.
Yeah, we got a pick of 3 different games from Arcane Wonders. They were all small box. This was Sherlock 13. There was Hello Neighbor, and I forget what the other one was. We already had the other one.
Yeah, and then we also had this book, the Book of Rituals. So basically this is a...
puzzle book.
It's a puzzle book, so I'm excited to actually play this one because I think that's right up our alley. So that one was kind of fun, so I appreciated that. That's
another bummer, though, is that in previous years, there's been basically swag bags of games, like 10 to 20 games that they had in the rooms already from porters putting them in there. Due to COVID, the porters were not allowed to put them in there, is what we were told, but they decided not to give any free games. This was their partner gave us, Arcane Wonders was one of their partners, and they gave us a copy of a game. But otherwise, there were no free games, which was a big bummer.
Yeah, and they said it was because of due to COVID. Now, there was some opportunities to win games throughout the cruise. Anyway, we'll get there. So that first event was check-in, and then they had a first-timers party, which we were able to go to. It was a fun cake. I think you took pictures of the cake, so that will be there. So, the thing is we weren't, you got a bunch of introverts in a room. It wasn't that great of a party at the beginning because it just, they've got a lot of people. It's first time. They're not very talkative.
Well, I think it was mainly just to answer any questions people had and, if there were any questions for newcomers. I thought that was nice. It was, you could come and go as your leisure. It wasn't like it was really a
function
formal thing. It was just get some cake, meet some people maybe, and we ran into our old friend Ryan that we met at Gen Con last year, so that was cool. We got to hang out with him and his wife.
Yeah.
And then
she got me hooked on the spot. I won't blame her for later trespasses. I wanted to do it anyways. But anyway, so that ended up happening, and that was kind of the first night because we kind of...
Yeah, we just toured the ship. We went down and played a few games in the open gaming. The open gaming was super nice to be there.
Yeah, so the way they organized the gaming library. So this is one of the highlights. So Dice Tower did this exceptionally well. So let's talk about the gaming library. So they had games sorted. There was a master sheet where you could look to see where, if you knew the name of the game in alphabetical order, where it would be located on the shelf. So you were able to go to the shelf, and you would have to look through the shelf, but it was general area, Most of the time, if you're searching for a name, you know what the box looks like, so you can kind of highlight it. So that was pretty straightforward. And I liked there was a check-in and check-out, so if you were looking for a game, couldn't find it, you could go and ask, hey, has this been checked out? So that was nice. I also liked the fact that they had these player-wanted meeples with a little flag, and then teacher wanted meeples with
Mhm.
flags. For a bunch of introverts, this was well needed.
Yeah.
Now, so as far as open gaming, I thought this functioned really, really well. And I think this is one thing that I think Dice Tower did exceptionally well on for this type of event. To be able, it was practically always open. So being able to go down, play games, and the introverts like myself that really appreciate, these people are looking for players. I want to play that game.
Yeah.
Or, hey, I want players to play this game, so I'm going to set this on my table and I don't have to talk to nobody. And engaging. So for that, I think they did spot on.
And they had most of the ship. You could, if you didn't want to play in that room where it was overcrowded, you could go anywhere, almost anywhere. There's a few select spots on the boat.
The Royal Promenade.
Royal Caribbean had asked not for us to play games at, but otherwise we could pretty much go anywhere on the ship with the game and sit down and play. And that was super nice because, if you wanted a good view, you could go up on one of the top decks and have
you didn't have to wear your mask.
Well, no. That's
on
not
outside.
true. On outside. Yeah, one of the areas a lot of people weren't wearing masks in, they were supposed to be. So, there wasn't, there really was pretty much masks were mandated all throughout the ship except for outdoor areas. And the outdoor areas were not convenient for playing games the whole time we were there because it was pretty much windy all the time.
Well, the solarium was fine.
Yeah, solarium was about the only area.
But they had small tables, so you can only do some small table games. But hey, people got inventive. I've seen some. Had seen some creative table making abilities on the ship. But overall, I think they did that well. The things that I think were opportunity they were very limited on actual organized events. The organized events that did exist, one was too full and we couldn't even participate in.
Yeah, that was a real disappointment. On the first day, there was a game show type event, and we showed up for it, but they had already given out all the sheets for everything, and they were like, well, just find somebody to join a team with. And I'm like, I don't, first of all, again, introverted, I don't do well going up and just walking up and asking, can I join your team? I'm sure, but
it's not just you. It was me and you. So it's like, okay, well, we're going to have to divide up. Like, how many people can honestly share a sheet?
Yeah.
Like, there was some logistic concerns there that didn't function out very well.
Yeah.
And the other events that they weren't that engaging. Now, what I wish I would have seen, and I think we talked about this with a couple other people, was that organizing teaching events. Even if you had it volunteer-based, saying, hey, we're going to have a group teaching X game at this time and have sign-ups and have some stuff like that. Because, for example, the one thing they had Elf Creek there to teach Merchants of the Dark Road, which I wanted to learn. And they kept changing the times and the locations of where they were teaching. I couldn't find them. I just wanted to learn the game, guys, and I have to read the rules, and I couldn't. Randy, I tell Randy, oh, look, they posted it. Tomorrow, 11 o'clock, I will be there or be square. 11 o'clock rolls around. And it was earlier that day, it wasn't 11 o'clock, it was 10 o'clock. I went into the game thinking, okay, I got to be ready for 11 o'clock, okay? So I'm prepared to go where I need to go because I couldn't remember exactly where, so I was looking at the board. It was gone. So no, they weren't going to meet at 11 o'clock. And that happened a couple of times, and I was just so sad. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that was, but then I heard that they were elsewhere. I heard that a lot of times they didn't have people to play. And I was like, that part was not organized very well. I don't think it was. And I do think that they could have done some more organization around having more game learning opportunities, even if you did it volunteer-based. Because I know I taught multiple games.
Yeah, I think they relied a lot on people coming on board teaching the games. And that was great because I taught a lot of games there, and it was fun. But, there was no planned, we've got people here that will help teach games. Some people did. Tom Bassel taught me Arc Nova, which we'll continue in a minute. But they taught, there was some of them just volunteered to come up but they didn't have it planned. It wasn't timed. They just were in the room and they were like, hey, I can teach you that. And
so for that front, props to everybody who volunteered, done their part.
Thank you, Tom Bassel. You did an excellent job teaching Arc Nova.
Yeah. So I do want to say that the friendliness level, everyone's
super friendly.
Everyone was super friendly. Everyone was willing to help each other out. Everyone was willing, hey, can I play? Absolutely. Everyone was very welcoming on that front. So give out a shout out to everyone that attended the cruise. But on the organization front, that could have been organized a little bit better to be a little more productive, getting more clear direction on when training, when teaching moments would be, and given those opportunities. Like, even if they said, hey, was anyone willing to teach? Could you sign up for times? Can you sign up at locations? That, even if it was volunteer based, it would have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they would have done that, and they didn't. And
Yeah.
So I think for that was an opportunity that I think they missed out on, to make, I guess, more value for your money. And you wouldn't have had to pay anything because people would have volunteered, because that group was such a wonderful group. I know I would have, you would have. So that's my thing. What other opportunities did you think for the Dice Tower portion of the cruise?
Well, like I said, I really think, given, we haven't really got into the cost of everything, which we'll get into later, but given the cost, I think that there should have been more to it. I mean, it was very nice. They had about 1,800, I think, board games on the they brought on the boat.
The gaming library, top notch.
Yeah,
they did well.
Very great.
That one,
good. But that was basically all it felt like it was the gaming library. It didn't feel like there was anything more than that. The other ads were, we weren't part of the game shows. We were just in the audience watching the game show, and it didn't really engage.
And I think there was too many people to have a good ratio of play versus not play.
Yeah.
So I don't, and then it was overcrowded at the first event. I think this event was probably one of their largest, and therefore I don't think they knew how to accommodate that, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes sense, but they hold other conventions, so they should, I feel like...
Yeah.
They're, and I don't know if this is meant to be more relaxing because it's a cruise-based thing. There's other stuff going on, like we still went on excursions, we still did things, and that was a lot of fun. But as far as, like you mentioned, if you're talking about cost... what are they bringing to the table? And it's like, okay, you brought an amazing game library, giving people the opportunity to kind of play.
Mm-hmm. Well,
what is that worth?
If we want to talk about the costs here, first of all, just to go over, we got an ocean view balcony room, which is one of the higher priced rooms because it was our 5th year anniversary. We wanted to celebrate. We wanted a nice view.
And I'm spoiled.
And partly because we wanted to, I thought we were going to shoot reviews on the balcony.
That's why,
nice.
That's why he allowed me to pay that much money.
That didn't get to happen, so that was a bummer. But second, that room was, so when I first shot the Dice Tower video, I had presented that the room for the Dice Tower, for the ocean view room with the balcony, was $25.99 per person. That information I've now learned is incorrect. It was actually $25.99 per cabin for a 1 to 2 person occupancy. So if you're traveling with 2 people, it's actually not as bad as it sounded. So I apologize for my mistake on that. But the booking through Royal Caribbean is also on a per cabin basis, and it's also 1 to 2 person per cabin. So to get an apples to apples comparison and find out the true cost, when I go to their site, immediately it presents that it's $1,300 per cabin for 1 to 2 occupancy, which gives you the impression it's twice as much. Still looks that way, but that's not as simple an answer as it truly is. So the problem is the cruises vary significantly from week to week in price. So you have to get something that's comparable in the same week or same range. So I went out and emulated a booking starting February 27th, and from the same port, same exact ship. Matter of fact, I went to the exact same cabin we had. I got to choose the cabin. Now I chose the cabin we were in, which was 6328. Everything is exactly the same. And when I do that, the price for booking through Royal Caribbean without all the add-ons, because when we booked, we added on the key, which is early boarding, early checkout, and some other perks, internet. And we also added drink packages and also excursions, which basically drove the price up significantly. But you would have to add those whether you booked it through Dice Tower or through Royal Caribbean. So the true price comparison is $21.40. So you're basically paying $450 more for the Dice Tower portion, as opposed to twice as much, which is what I gave the impression in my previous video. So apologies for the incorrect information. I wanted to correct that and get that into the video. So I'm going to be reposting the video with this correction. That said, now it makes it a harder or a closer decision on whether this is actually worth it or not. The other thing to consider is Dice Tower does offer discounts if you book year after year while you're on the cruise ship. So if you know you're going to be a regular cruiser and you want to book it while you're on the cruise ship. I think this time they extended it 1 week after the cruise to give you the opportunity to cruise. Because I guess they knew there was a lot of fluctuation right now, so they went ahead and extended it so we could have booked the week after. That said, for us, it's still not the right decision to do it every year. It ties up our week's vacations that we have, 1 week additional. Because we have 1 week booked for Gen Con, we have Christmas, and then we generally have one additional week. So I'll have that tied up every year on a cruise that's just for my wife and me. Just doesn't make sense when we have children. $450, still all you're getting, honestly, is the library. So if the game library is worth $450 additional for you, then you gotta make that call. For us, it was worth it for a one-time trip. Probably we'll go back again every few years. We probably won't go every year. Definitely won't go every year. But maybe every 5 years or so. It's worth it because honestly, we wouldn't agree on enough things on the cruise ship probably to enjoy the cruise if we didn't have something like that where we have in common. So, but the choice is yours. Obviously, you need to know the facts. So I wanted to correct that. So thank you. And considering there was no freebie games, there was no events, relatively no events, it's hard to justify that cost. As a one-time thing, it's great. I'd still recommend it. As an ongoing, I want to go every year, probably not.
Yeah, and there, well, the caveat is, yes, you could have done it cheaper. We could have gotten a stateroom. There are ways to make it cheaper, and so at the end of the day, the thing is I was expecting a little more of the Dice Tower portion to be there with the cost advance.
Yes.
Right? And the thing is talking to a few other people, in previous years, there used to be a very robust itinerary. There wasn't this go around. There was no pre-itinerary. We didn't get the itinerary until we were on board. And I think in the past, there has been a little more activity and there wasn't. So it almost felt a little unprepared this time, as some of the feedback that we got from other players is that this one felt a little rushed together. And it's not that, and so. But
if you take the overall trip, we had a blast. I don't want to take away that I wouldn't recommend doing this. I don't think I'd recommend doing it every year, but I would recommend giving it a try once, especially if you're going to go on a cruise anyway.
Well, I think it depends on what you do conventions for, right? Like if you honestly just like the open gaming of a convention, this might be very much your cup of tea. It is pretty costly. You'd have to, figure out if it's worth it for you. I think there's the thing. But I will say, I loved, and this is the thing, I'm thinking, because I've been on a cruise before, I thought about how nice it was, because most cruises have a little game section, okay? Completely different being able to go down and pick up some of my favorites that I did get to play. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have been able to do that on a normal cruise boat, and that's something that we truly, truly enjoy doing, and so it's really hard to discount that when the trip, there was so much added to the trip just because, at least the gaming library was fantastic.
Yeah. So let's talk about the games we played while we were on there. So I played Hadrian's Wall twice, taught it twice. That's some new people I got to teach to. I also taught Bitoku. I didn't play Bitoku, but I taught it, which took a while to teach. You played Kitchen Rush. I didn't write that down.
I did. I taught
Bitoku.
Kitchen Rush. That Kitchen Rush is not the same as our Kitchen Rush, by the way, so that threw me off.
Oh, it's the other version?
Yes. So that one threw me off a little bit, and it was kind of like a series thing. Mm-hmm. But we still ended up playing it. and I ended up teaching it, so that was fun.
Yeah, and they sent out a list of all the games that were going to be on the ship before you got on the ship. So a lot of people, including me, we prepared like what games we wanted to play before we got on the ship. I didn't get to play all of them, but I got to play the ones that were the top ones that I wanted to play while I was on the ship. And the top ones I wanted to play were Unfathomable, because I thought it'd be amazing to play a cruise ship based game a cruise ship.
Guys, there was other people who were willing to play with him. I did not have to. I did not have to do that one.
I wanted to play Arc Nova because I knew it was going to be there, and I was super excited to give it a try. I'll give you my opinion on that a little bit later and talk about, I won't give you the full review because we haven't got to do it yet. But Glory to Rome, I wanted to give that a try because I've heard great things about it. I love Roman-themed games, and it's super hard to come by. I was really hoping I'd hate it. We'll get to that in a minute. I played Detective Club, Red Cathedral, and Raja the Ganges Dice Charmers. We played on the last day, just us two, because we took it with us. You played Tapestry.
Yeah, I taught Tapestry. I taught Pipeline. I taught Zulkin. There was another one I taught. I don't remember.
And we met this really nice couple from England who, while we were talking with them, we were playing a game with them.
Oh, yeah.
They happened to say, well, we designed a game, right? And so we ended up playing their game, Library Labyrinth. And we're going to be probably featuring a preview of that because it hasn't come out yet. It's one that they're going to try to release, I assume, as a crowdfunding venture. We'll give you kind of our opening thoughts on that. So we got a chance to play a lot of the games. Oh, and we played Gaia. We'll be doing a review of that as well soon. That one won't actually have a physical copy, so we'll just be going based upon the pictures we took of the game and kind of our thoughts on it. So unfortunately, we won't have it. We'll put some pictures of the game up on the screen when we do the review. So that's all coming. But those are the games we covered. So let's talk about Arc Nova. I got to play it. This was the popular game of the trip, I would say.
Yeah.
It was the one. It was in the front table as you walked in the room, and it was always busy. And I never thought I'd get a chance to play it because it was always busy. But perfect storm happened. We finished the game. We were playing.
I was walking off.
You had to go to a spa session.
I had to. It was such a...
We'll get to the spa after this.
Hey, you leave my small people alone.
Yeah.
They treated me good.
All right. So they had two people sitting at the Arc Nova table, and they were looking for a third, and Tom Vassell walked over and said he couldn't play, but he would help teach it. And I said, I'd love to play. So I jumped in.
I pitched him. I was like, hey.
Tom taught it super well. He did an excellent job, taught it super quick. He was there around doing other things, but he was able to come back and answer questions as we had him. Excellent teacher. I highly recommend. If you ever get a chance to get a game taught to you by Tom Vassell, he did a great job. And I loved that game. It's a cross between Terraforming Mars and Raja the Ganges scoring mechanisms. If you like both of those games or either of those games, check it out. Now, it is sold out on pre-orders pretty much everywhere right now, so it's like a hot game. I've got it pre-ordered from our local game store, and as soon as we get it, we will be doing a full review of it. And I can already tell you, I'm spoiling it. It's going to get a high score for
But
me.
I haven't played it, so
she hasn't played it. Rob hasn't played it.
It could be. I have a very different opinion. You don't know.
You might hate it. I doubt it, but you might hate it. Since Terraforming Mars is high on your list, I don't think you'll hate it.
Well, like Ganges, I would really like Ganges.
Well, yeah, but it's closer to Terraforming Mars than Ganges.
Yeah, so then I don't. Yeah.
The scoring mechanism is similar. So yeah, very excited to get that one. As a matter of fact, I've got it pre-ordered, but immediately I started trying to track it down to see if I could find it available somewhere, so I could just go out and buy it within a reasonable price. I didn't.
Guys, he was super stoked about this game. You really should check it out if you haven't. And hopefully we'll be able to get to do a review of it fully soon to see if it's something even more that you would like. Yeah. I think overall, though, I think I had a lot. Having the ability to play games was an absolute blast with so many great, fantastic people. Like I said, everyone was super kind and generous and fantastic to be around. being able to just, because a lot of people, we had our badges and we had shirts to be able to be like, hey, what'd you play today? Or are you having fun?
Well, but it even extended beyond the people in the dice tower. I mean, just on the ship, there was a lot of buzz. I mean, we went on excursions for non-gamers who were on, or even some gamers who just were not part of the dice tower cruise, and they were super friendly. I mean, they were just, some of these people were regular cruisers, and they were just excited about the fact that these gamers were on the boat, and it was really cool talking to them.
Yeah, we're a little bit different, we're a little strange, but it's totally cool.
Yeah,
we're nifty like that. And so I think overall it was a fantastic experience.
Oh yeah,
and I do, that is something to be said. Now, as far as personal moments for the cruise, Cozumel, seeing Tulum, which is the Mayan ruins.
Yeah, Tulum.
Tulum, sorry. Pronounce it wrong, because I cannot pronounce anything. I can't even pronounce the English language, much less something else. Beautiful. Fantastic. Super exciting that we got to see that. It was just breathtaking. And learning all the history. We had a fantastic tour guide who really got into the history of the Mayan people. He was Mayan ancestry. Yeah, he had Mayan descent. It was pretty heavy because he actually still spoke the language. So that was fantastic getting his take on it. So it was beautiful. So that was fantastic.
I would have enjoyed it a lot more if I wasn't sick as a dog. We had really rough waters the first half of the trip, if not more.
I also think you got a sinus infection.
And I had a sinus thing going on. And between those two things, I got knocked out.
I just kept telling him, don't make people take you sick. Like, you'll get quarantined and I won't be able to get off the boat.
Now, the trip to the Mayan ruins.
Nah, hey, listen, we're not talking about that. We're not going to put that on camera. Listen, if you want a personalized story, you can come let us know. We will give it to you. But that, needless to say, when they say fast water ferry,
and if they offer you anti-nausea medicine, take it.
take the medicine, okay? Then they're going to offer you something else. Take that too, okay? So, but anyway, so that was absolute. It was definitely an experience we won't forget. And then we ended up in Roatan, Honduras. Monkeys got to climb on us, guys, and we got to do some parrot shots. We got to play with butterflies. We learned more about the Mayan history, about the Mayan calendar, and things like that. We also...
And my best meal of the trip.
Yes. Well, no, you're talking to Costa Maya.
That was Costa Maya. I'm sorry.
So then we also they had two cool rope bridges, scary as heck, that we got to do that we ended up with really cool pictures of. That was so much fun. We did not get to hang out with the sloth, sadly, because it was its day of rest. It needed a break. Mm-hmm. The vet told that it needed some sleep. It wasn't getting enough sleep. And then we got to see this cousin to the raccoon thing. He was so cute. I just wanted to be like, anyway, but it was shy. It didn't want to hang out with us either. To be fair, I get it. And then, so that was a lot of fun. And then I got my hair braided that day too. Yeah. So okay, I will say they have this shell jewelry and the seed jewelry that they made, and I still regret not buying. I ran out of cash, so they are heavily cash driven there. Where Cozumel was fine using cards practically everywhere. Then we ended up going to Costa Maya, another cash. They wanted cash over card there as well.
And if you go there and you aren't experienced, everybody haggles. They don't buy it for the price that they charge you at the retail. No. Haggle.
I did it all the time. Randy was freaking nervous. He's like, because he's not used to the negotiating practices and the hounding. There was a lot of hounders. And
that drove me crazy.
Yeah, Randy's not.
They will come chase you down to bring you in.
And I kept telling Randy, just ignore them. Just keep walking. You acknowledge them, they're going to keep talking to you. And anyway, so that's part of Marketplace, and I'm just using. I'm from South Texas anyway. I'm kind of used to some of that. But Costa Maya, we ended up going to this seven colors lagoon. We go down a mangrove river into these freshwater lagoons.
Crystal clear water. And it was beautiful.
And we were on this raft. So we were going down these rivers on literally rafts. Like, they weren't sticks, but...
It was almost like a gondola. They had a stick they were pushing off the ground.
Right, but the raft, I think, was actually made out of plastic pipes, not wood, because they had it painted. But whatever. So it was literally rafts. you're floating down this river. The guy's pushing you. So calm and serene, and you know, heard some birds and some things going on. And then we end up hitting these lagoons. We literally jumped off the raft. Well, I did. Randy stayed on the raft. I jumped off the raft and swam in this picturesque place. The pictures cannot do it justice.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
It just couldn't.
Perfect weather too. It was,
through the whole trip was. I mean, we got a little rained on a couple of places.
The boat ride on the ship, the cruise ship, it was horrible weather. It was like the ocean was tossing and turning all crazy. That's why I was.
Well, that's not weather. That's ocean.
Well, that's because of the weather. That's why it was.
Yeah,
rough.
I mean, but it was nice.
It was raining and storming the whole time we were going down. But then once we got there, it would rain like every day. It rained for a while, but then it cleared up and it was a beautiful sky. And the temperature never got hotter than like 83. I think was the hottest. Yeah.
So perfect weather. We got done with Costa Maya. That's where. Okay. We didn't even need to go on an excursion. I didn't realize this. Their little port area that came off the cruise, they had 2 swimming pools. They had a bunch of restaurants. They had, like...
They had a petting area for those animals.
Yeah, and
we didn't have time to go in it. We would have liked to have. And they
had,
they had flamingos and
I was like, dude, we didn't need to pay for no excursion. We could have just done this. You know, so I thought that was pretty... Randy would have freaked out. It was shopped too much. I don't think he could have handled it.
Good shopping.
Anyway, but that place, and then we ended up getting your favorite meal of the day.
I got kebabs with chicken and steak, and they were flavored perfectly. They were delicious.
Yeah, we got to eat right on that. Like we were seeing the ocean. We saw the ships in the far background. You can see a picture here. Now I will say, in Honduras, we had that yummy quesadilla. That was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that was good too.
That was a pleasant surprise. I was thinking, chicken cheese, but there was like really good garlic flavor. I mean, the flavoring. I was like, hey, this ain't my, this ain't my kid's quesadilla. This is an adult quesadilla. I'm taking this with me.
Yeah. And here would be a good time to contrast. The boat food was one of the big downers for me.
He's very picky, guys. You got to realize.
Yeah, the cruise. I heard so many good things about all the food on the cruise ship. I felt like it tastes like buffet food everywhere we went. And even like when we sat in the main dining hall, I was expecting at least that was going to be more elaborate. And they made it fancy, but it tasted like buffet food still.
Now, I will say, your food wasn't as good as my food. But I picked a lot of seafood.
Yeah. I
picked a lot of things...
Whereas I don't like seafood.
More fresh. So I picked a lot of... I actually had, like, vegetables and fruit, and I had, like, the fish and the shrimp, and so I had a lot of things that were probably a lot fresher than where you ordered, some other stuff. But like we even went to the very expensive restaurant,
the
steakhouse Chops that was in Allure, paid a premium to go on Valentine's Day, and the food I found to be medium. Okay.
It was slightly better than the other food. But I mean, the steak quality was better, but it wasn't for the price.
Yeah, well, to be fair, now they had this crab cake that was delicious, guys. So the crab cake was good. That was really flavorful. I think it really mattered about what you chose. And for me, when I deviated from the fish and shrimp and that kind of palate, I ended up disappointed. Because, I ended up getting lamb one day and it was mushy. I didn't know lamb could be mushy. And then, I just stick with fish. And I was a lot safer doing that.
Yeah, and there was, a lot of places you could go eat, but either they were the same food as the other ones, or they charged you. And it was and you didn't really know when you walked in, is this one that charges you or doesn't? I mean,
well, they let you know after you sat down, but then who wants to be like, oh, never mind, and get up?
So, I mean, yes, there was, you could go on and look on the website or whatever and see in advance if you really wanted to. But, when you're on a cruise ship, you're just walking around and saying, oh, this looks interesting. Let's go check it out.
Well, no, I was sad. Ice cream cost us money. And I was...
Well, there was, but you could get the frozen milk ice cream somewhere. I never saw it, but you could get it for free somewhere. But we went into a Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and that was a charge.
Right. And that's the thing is the obviously looking place, whatever. Anyway,
they had a Johnny Rockets on board. If you went there, they charged you. And now the we got the drink package that included shakes, so I could get a free shake if I went to Johnny Rockets, but I couldn't get food. But if you went there,
The shake wasn't even
the
that
shake,
good, though.
it was a small shake, and they charged you, or they didn't charge you, but they gave you a slip with a tip thing. And that's the other thing. You pay a tip, 18% up front on all your meals, but they still expect you to tip on things. And we still didn't really know when you were supposed to tip, when you weren't supposed to tip, and it was kind of awkward.
Well, I felt weird about the spa treatments because, it will say this is the cost, standard gratuity. Then it has a spot for like additional tip. I'm like, dude, I'm paying, whatever. Anyway,
So,
whatever.
She got me to go to a his and hers couples spa session. I never felt more awkward in my life.
Listen,
I was cracking them up though the whole time.
Right, these poor women had to deal with Randy the whole entire time. I tipped them that day. I felt they deserved it. No, but I mean, overall though, it was a lot of fun. There were so many wonderful experiences, and a 5th year wedding anniversary trip. It was a perfect blend for me and you. There was a lot of stuff that both of us really enjoyed. There was gaming, but then I still got to do, I did get to go to the spa, and I did get to do all these excursions that I wanted to go to, and it's something I've been talking about a cruise since I think we've got together, so this was wonderful, because I always wanted to go back with better companions.
And that's where you got to weigh, is it worth that extra cost? Because honestly, I don't know if we could agree on a cruise if it weren't for the fact that the games were involved, because I don't do outdoorsy things. I don't swim. I don't. A lot of the things you typically do.
Well, that's what I would be afraid of, is that we would go on a cruise and you would be bored.
I would definitely be bored.
I wouldn't be bored,
and I would be disappointed in the food. But I would like the excursions off the island, except for the shopping. There's things I like, but there'd be a lot of things I wouldn't like. Whereas this, if I wanted to, I could just spend the entire trip playing games, which I did way more than you did.
Right, because I needed sleep. I believe in sleep. No, I think it really just depends on your kind of thing. I honestly feel like we will probably go again. Will it be next year? Probably not. Will we may go every 2 or 3 years? I think we would. I think it's something that just me and you going would be fine and would be worth the money, because we made some amazing friends, and it seems like they're going to be going, and maybe when we coordinate all those friends going, then it would totally be worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we already had some friends. I mean, we knew Nick and Vic from the
Indie
Board Gaming, and then we knew Ryan, which I didn't even know he was going, so that was a nice surprise. So, that they were going to be there, and Andrew and Sam were going to be there from Indie Gaming as well. So we knew some people going on, but then to meet, we met David and Mill, and we really had a blast playing games with them, and we met several other people that we just
there was that wonderful couple that we played a game with. That was super wonderful.
Well, and I played a Valuable with a nice couple too.
Well, no, I wish I would have played with them more. It's the one that you ended up teaching Bitoku to.
They taught us Glory to Rome. By the way, I did love Glory to Rome, sadly. So now I'm going to track a copy of that down. So
he doesn't have to.
Well, I will.
I know, but we have a difference of opinion on how well it should be liked. All right, because it was still good. But that couple, I really wish we got to hang out with them more. I didn't get an opportunity. They were super
great.
nice. So overall, I think we had an absolute blast.
Mm-hmm.
Let's rate the total cruise 1 through 10. What you're going to give us final score?
Oh, this is hard.
I'm intrigued how this is going to turn out.
This is hard because there is aspects that I love, but then that price is just so overwhelmingly hard to overcome.
But if you took away just true enjoyment, take away the price.
If I take the enjoyment, well, also I have to take into consideration that I was sick and take that out of the equation, because the sickness really brought me down.
Listen, all I got to say is luckily Mexico does not require prescriptions for antibiotics, because I about nearly killed Brandy. I was like, if you're going to be sick all week, you may not survive.
I was horrible those first 3 days, and then after that I got slightly better.
Yeah.
I'm going to probably give this, as far as our vacations, I'll probably give this an 8.
8? Okay.
I mean, because it had aspects of everything, there was times where I was just totally frustrated when we were shopping, or in the spa, or just being hounded by the spa.
It's the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah, well, it's not just that. It was the spa calling. The time you were supposed to go to the spa, and you were already gone,
Time
and I got a
change.
phone call, and I'm trying to sleep in because I'm not feeling well, and I get a phone call from them, and then somebody knocks on my door, as it was the cleaning person just wanting to meet me and say hi.
Well,
And
you
I'm
know.
Yeah, it's like, I'm trying to sleep in. It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
I should have put the thing on the door.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't have bothered you.
So it wasn't a restful trip, and not to mention everything was on a schedule.
Last day was.
Yeah, I mean, there was like, I didn't like the meals being on a schedule for dinner.
Well, that's Royal Caribbean. There's other places that don't do that.
So, I think 8's fair, because, I mean, of the times I did enjoy, I had a blast. I mean, I absolutely had a blast playing games. I had a blast meeting people, which is not something I'm good at. I'm great if we're playing games. People come up. I was loving teaching people and all that, but I'm not going to just walk up to somebody and say hi. It's just not me.
I know I had to force them multiple times.
Even when you weren't there, I wouldn't go up to a table and say, hey, can I join you? I just couldn't do it. But I would sit down and I'd bring one of those, players wanted signs, and people would flock over, and that was awesome. Yeah,
it was the trigger. And like for me, before I went to pick out a game and did that, I would go through all the player wanted to see if I could fit it in, so.
See, I didn't do that. I would, that made me too uncomfortable. I couldn't do it.
Really? You're so
walked
weird.
around, I would walk around, look at them, and then I'd say, no, can't do it. And then I'd go back and just wait around, and then I'd text the people I didn't know and say, hey, do you want to come down? And
I'm
join
sure,
me?
it's whatever. It's so cute. For me, I had no problem. Honestly, I tried to do that, but honestly, I wanted to play certain games. So I was like, I'm going to go get the game I want, and I'm going to put it on the table, and hopefully people come and join me.
Yeah.
I would have been sad if I ever had to sit more than 15 minutes and not get anybody. That would have depressed me. But that did not happen. I had my tables fill up. And because as soon as they heard, do you know how to teach this? Or do you know this game? Yes. They sat down.
Yeah.
So it was like, score.
I mean, Hadrian's Wall was a big hit with people. And as soon as I could get it out, I thought I was going to just, like one time I thought I was going to play and try to learn a solo game, which I don't play solo games. So I just was that uncomfortable talking to people. So I was going to play.
I think you got more comfortable towards the end and when you got accustomed to the system.
No.
You're just weird.
But no, I sat down with Hadrian's Wall, and immediately this couple comes over, and they ended up volunteering themselves to join me for Unfathomable, and I'm like, yes, absolutely, we need 5 people. And so they were 2, and the British couple that we got to know were the other 2, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yep.
So for me, I'm going to rate this a 9.
Okay.
I lost the point because you were sick and drove me nuts, and I was honestly okay with the food on the ship. It could have been better. It could have been way worse. I did not like the scheduled dining because there were twice that we ate and we weren't hungry.
Yeah.
But the idea of trying to find food elsewhere and we knew it was not going to be good, just whatever, because that was the best place to get it was the My Dining. And then, I had a wonderful time.
Mm-hmm.
There were definitely some moments I will treasure forever, and I appreciated it. So I'm giving it a 9 because I had fun.
Oh, one last point on the Cool Stuff Inc. We went to the Cool Stuff Inc. on the last day when we got back. Don't go to the one in Fort Lauderdale or Hollywood, I should say.
No, they were super nice.
They were nice.
Don't say that.
If you are looking for board games to purchase, that's not the store to go to. Go to the Maitland one. The Maitland one in Orlando.
But at the same time, super friendly. Plenty of place to play board games.
Very clean.
They did, yes, the bathrooms were, that is a huge thing for a gaming store. The bathrooms were clean. They were very, very friendly, very, very helpful. There was a selection of games in the back, but very limited. They said due to COVID.
But they only had 3 racks for sale, and they were very barren.
Right. But you can make requests and they deliver them. They have, inventory adjustments once a week or something. So don't say, because that's not very fair.
Okay. We took an Uber there and paid a premium to drive all the way down there and all the way back, and it didn't feel like we could have just got a table somewhere and played the games, is what I'm saying.
No, but they were super friendly, and they need to have the player wanted symbols. But it was Yu-Gi-Oh anyway.
It seemed it was more focused on Magic and Yu-Gi-Oh.
But I bet a lot of local gaming stores experience that. So you guys know the struggle. You know the struggle.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast this last week. We'll be throwing out a couple of reviews. We might be a little bit slower because We're slightly behind, but we feel very refreshed. So we'll catch you guys later. Thanks, guys.
Bye.